Welcome back to the Eight Man Breakdowns podcast. This is where we discuss all phases of the game of football, including philosophy, play concepts, questions, and more. I want to start this podcast with a quick reminder. I'm continuing my podcast videos currently because we're still in season and we're actually just starting the postseason now. So once football season is officially over here in Kansas, probably around late December, that's probably when I'll start to pick back up with my other videos. All right, so today's topic is practice planning. And I actually got another Q&A session for you guys. The question that was sent in this time was, how do you align your practices with such a small amount of players? All right, so I'll answer this kind of two different ways. I'll answer it kind of in a detailed answer and then kind of a simplified answer as well. So I'll start with the simplified version. The simplified version is basically we just really focus on individual techniques. So, I mean, you don't have enough players to do a lot of things. So you got to really work on the small things, work on the individual technique, get good at that stuff, get good at the small things. And then your system as a whole will do the rest. As long as you've been teaching the little things, it'll all carry over into whatever position groups you're working on. All right. So big emphasis on the individual technique. So every practice, we work individual first. So we do our little daily warm up, which I actually call the wake up. But we do our little wake up and then we jump right into individual drills. So we focus on the individual technique stuff in those individual drills, and then we'll bring it all together in our team stuff consistently throughout the practice. And I guess getting even more detailed into the actual philosophy, I really focus on less physicality in practice. Right now we only have 16 total players on our whole team this year. So less physicality with each other in practice and just overall more technique and more teachable live game moments. Because again, you can't afford to get anybody hurt when you only have 16 on an 8-man team, or even if you have 20 on an 8-man team. You can't afford to get anybody hurt at practice ever. So we really focus less physicality with each other, and like I said, just more overall technique, and then them live game moments and situations. So, for example, I'll kind of go into a practice plan or a daily plan for you guys to get further into the detailed answer here. So, we're really a balanced team, in my opinion. I mean, we want to be good at both running and passing the ball. So, we work full offensive individual drills every day for the first 15 to 20 minutes of practice every day. For example, we do our wake up, our 5 to 10 minute dynamic wake up, doing lots of different movements, getting everybody woken up, especially after a long day of school. And then we'll split up into individual offensive groups. All right. So backs and receivers will go together. O-line will go separate. Backs and receivers, they'll work on individual route combinations. And we don't work just specific route combinations that are going to work that week in the game plan. No, we work on all of our route combinations. So we have probably anywhere from 6 to 10 different pass concepts in our playbook. And we work on those every day. 15 to 20 minutes right away in our individual backs receivers drills at the beginning of practice. All right. And at the same time, our O-line is working individual pass blocking for that first 15 to 20 minutes. They're working their base protection, the slide protections, play action, double teams, all that stuff. And if they get done early with their pass protections, because we have less linemen than we do skill guys, then they'll go through our gap and zone scheme run blocking stuff as well. And then double teams in the run game also until we're finished with the routes individually with backs and receivers. And then, then of course we get a drink, we have our water breaks in between, and then we switch gears and then do some defensive stuff right after that. So right after we do individual O, we jump into some team defensive stuff. And it's not really more team defense, it's more tackling drills. I like to get tackling drills out of the way early in practice because, and again, we don't do physical tackles, where we're trying to go hurt each other or hit each other as hard as we can. We're working really on technique, being low, having your head across and driving through the tackle, head up and seeing what you're hitting, all that. And I know some people don't do the head across, but we teach it that way. It's just, I think it's easier to teach it that way for our kids, at least. That way they keep their head out of the tackle. But so anyways, yeah, we switch gears to defense for tackling drills, get them out of the way early, go through that approach and technique. And then we do that intentionally early in the practice. That way, all of our talking points and our techniques have been hit before we go into the team defensive sessions. That way, if they do get to the ball carrier in Scout Team O versus Team D, then we wrap up and we do it the right way. Okay. And again, none of our team sessions are ever live, literally none. They're all thud tempo where, we thud them up, we stop on the whistle and blow the whistle early. I mean, basically similar to a scrimmage or a jamboree. Because again, there's too much of a risk with injury just due to separation of talent on our team. You have 16 players in your team, but from top to bottom, there's a huge separation of talent in there, and maybe some teams don't have that much, but we do for sure because we have some old guys, we have some young guys, we have some big age group difference within our 16 players. Okay. So we do all that, we do our defensive stuff, and then we jump right back into some other offensive individual, such as, running. O-line will work on the run blocks if they didn't get to it in the first 15 to 20. And then backs and running backs will go separate, work on the mesh point, zone read, counter, all that stuff. And then the receivers will work on their quick game individually. And that's another thing that's really awesome about my school, anyways, is we have 4 coaches total for the high school, 3 assistants, and then myself. And it's an awesome thing. When you only have 16 players and you have 4 coaches, you can separate them easily and go into 3 to 4 different position groups, and do a lot of things. So I'm blessed with lots of coaches. So it really helps. And then after we get back into the run game, then we go and we switch gears and we go special teams. And we'll do basically some kickoff contain stuff where we'll work onsides and onside recovery. And we might go through punt or punt return. And that's one of those deals we don't spend a lot of time on, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And then we'll get another drink and then we're right back at it. And we always finish with Team O every time. Team O against Scout Team defense. And the Scout Team D, every once in a while, we don't have kids there. We'll have a kid sick or kid hurt or whatever the case is. And so we don't have a full 8, to go against on defense. So they'll just give us, it'll be kind of almost depending on what the play call is, whether it's a run or pass, there'll either be another man in the box on the defense or it'll be another man in coverage for the defense. And so our Scout Team O, a lot of times it ends up being on air, but that Scout Team O is at the very end of practice for a reason. You need to focus when you're tired. 2-minute drill is basically what it is. We have 5 to 10 minutes left of practice. We got to focus, finish out hard, execute, be disciplined, do the plays the way we want to execute them in the game. I'll signal in the plays. That's where we work on signals as well. And then we just go and run them. We run them, and a lot of times we'll do the no huddle going down the field, and then we'll do situational. So after we moved it all the way down the field, we'll do a 2-point play or 2, and we really don't do anything special. But I mean, it works. I truly believe it works. I think the kids love it. And another thing, I keep it 90 to 100 minutes. Hardly ever do we go over an hour and 40 minutes. It might be crazy or it might seem crazy to some, but when you only have 16 guys on your team, there's no sense going 2 to 3 hours and pounding on each other and wearing your team out when your whole team is basically going both ways, or even 3 ways for offense, defense, special teams all night on Friday. So you need them guys being as fresh as possible, and definitely not getting banged up prior to or in practice. So that's just kind of how we do things. And that's the way we've done it. At least that's the way I've done it this year and done it in the past. And I really like it, and the kids like it, and it seems to be working. So we're going to continue it. And again, you guys, like I always say, it's all personal preference. This is just my opinion and the way things work for me. So do whatever works best for you and your team. Okay, don't adjust unless it needs to be adjusted. All right, take a look in the mirror. If you think something's not right, then maybe it ain't, and maybe you need to change things. But if everything's going well and smooth, and you've been doing it for a long time, no sense changing it, right? So do whatever works best for you. And that's going to do it for this episode of the 8-Man Breakdowns podcast. Remember, videos come out every Tuesday night, so be sure to tune in. If you have a question for me, the best way to reach me is by commenting in the comment section below. If you've learned anything or enjoyed any of these videos, please click subscribe and check out some of my other videos right here on the screen. And like always, thanks for tuning in, guys.